Good morning, guys. Hope you are all good and following all the classes regularly. With the last class, we have completed the hydrogen. So we are in the continuation of the inorganic chemistry. We are going to start our next chapter, that is S block elements. S block elements. Our next chapter is S block elements. In this chapter, there is a weightage of one question in almost all type of competitive examination, and basically here we are going to discuss about several aspects. In the S block elements, we are going to discuss about the alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. In that, when it comes to the alkali metals or alkaline earth metals, we are going to discuss about their occurrence, abundancy, general physical properties, and general chemical properties, anomalous behavior of lithium, and if you are coming to the second group, anomalous behavior of beryllium and their diagonal relationship, and the nature of compounds of these alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. And after that, we are going to discuss about the some important compounds of sodium as well as calcium in the respective groups, and their importance, their commercial uses as well as biological importance, etc. things are going to be discussed in this particular chapter. Here, see what is mean by S block elements. First of all, you need to understand from the discussion of periodic table, you might have come to an awareness that what is mean by S block elements and what is mean by P block elements. Based on the electronic configuration, the elements of the periodic table has been classified into 4 blocks. That is S block, P block, and S block, P block, D block, and F block, based on the entry of differentiating electron into their corresponding orbitals. So from that, here all the elements of the periodic table in which the differentiating electron enters into the s orbital of the valence shell are generally considered as S block elements. Now let us see the definition of the S block elements. How it can be defined? Can be defined as all the elements in which differentiate electron. What is mean by differentiating electron? The one electron which differentiates an element from its preceding element will be called as differentiating electron. Enters into s orbital of valence shell are generally considered as S block elements. Generally, we can define S block elements in this manner. All the elements in which differentiating electrons enters into the s orbital of valence shell. S orbital of the valence shell are generally considered as S block elements. And if you are talking about the groups that are present in the S block elements, generally we know that there are two groups in S block. What are the two groups? That is, first group or first A and second group or second. These are the groups that are present in the S block. Why only two groups in this block? We know that the capacity of the S orbital. What is the maximum capacity of the S orbital in terms of accommodating electrons? How many electrons does this S orbital can accommodate? Very good. S orbital can accommodate only 2 electrons. As the maximum capacity of the S orbital is 2, so it has only 2 groups in the S block. Why? Since S orbital can accommodate a maximum of 2 electrons. There are 2 elements there are 2 groups in the S block, right? Generally, the elements such as lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. The elements such as lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium are included. These are included in first group or first year group PC because of their general valence electronic configuration. All these elements, that is lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium, are known as alkali metals. What they are called as? Alkali metals. They are called as alkali metals. Why they are called as alkali metals? Because the oxides of these metals, are these metals. Generally, all these are metals, hence we call them as alkali metals. And the oxides of these metals, what are the oxides? Such as Li2O or Na2O, etc. Forms hydroxides with water. When they reacted with water, they forms hydroxides that are strongly basic in nature. That are strongly basic or alkaline in nature. Hence they are called as alkali metals. This is a very important term. Throughout this chapter, we are going to frequently use alkali metals and alkali metals. Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, etc. are generally considered as alkali metals since they are oxides. That means, suppose if we are talking about the oxide of sodium, what is this? Na2O. If you are treating this with water, right? If you are treating this with water, it will form NaOH. It forms generally hydroxides. These hydroxides are strongly basic in nature. Because of that reason, basic or alkaline, because of that reason, generally we say alkaline earth metals. Right? Now, this is the definition of these particular elements. Now, if you are talking about their occurrence and abundance, we will discuss about their occurrence and abundance. If you are talking about the occurrence, the first property we will talk generally occurrence of alkali metals. Occurrence means how they are generally available in the nature, whether they are available in the elementary form or whether they are available in the combined state as their salts are in combination with the different element. That is generally given in terms of the occurrence. When I am talking about the occurrence of alkali metals, generally alkali metals are highly reactive in nature. Because of their high reactivity, they generally do not exist in the nature in the form of element. They do not occur in the free state or in the elementary form since they are very reactive. Because of that reason, they generally found in the nature in the combined state. They occur mainly as their salts. They occur mainly as, if you are talking about the occurrence, the first most thing is that they do not occur, or we say they do not occur or exist in free state. What is meant by free state? In the elementary state. How they exist? They generally occurs. They exist in the form of combined form. That is generally in the form of what we say their salts. Suppose if you are talking about the sodium or lithium generally occurs in the form of lithium chloride. If you are talking about sodium generally exists in the form of sodium chloride or sodium nitrate or sodium sulfate. These are all the sorts of these particular metals. And if you are talking about the potassium will also exist in the form of KCl. This is called rock salt. This KCl is called as sylvine. The general name of the this particular compound is called CB1. They generally exist in the combined form in the form of their salts. Such they can be halides or they can be sulfate or they can be any other salts such as carbonates or bicarbonates. This is the main source of occurrence of alkali metals in the nature. This is about the occurrence. The important thing to be noted down is that they do not occur generally in the free state. Right? Hope it is clear. I will remove this for the continuation of the discussion. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this. Now, if you are talking about the abundance, what is meant by abundance? To what extent they are available in the nature? Whether they are very richly available or very poorly available, or their availability in the nature, whether it is maximum or less, that will be generally discussed in terms of abundance. If you are talking about the abundance of alkali metals, in this particular alkali metals, this is sodium and potassium have maximum abundance, whereas lithium, rubidium, cesium are less abundant. And if you are talking about the francium is actually a radioactive element. It occurs as a radioactive decay. What is meant by radioactive decay? It occurs as a radioactive decay of uranium. Uranium is also a heavier radioactive element which undergo decomposition. During that process, we get the francium. The longest lived isotope of francium is francium-223, which has a half-life time. The half-life of this isotope is half-life time of this francium or 223 is 21 minutes. What is meant by half-life time? The time required for the disintegration of half of the substance will be called as half-life time. Basically, francium is a radioactive element of the alkali metals which occurs as a radioactive decay of the uranium. And the longest lived isotope of the francium is francium-223, which has an half-life time of 21 minutes. And if you are talking about the alkali metals, let us see their relative abundance. Element: lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. Right? These are the general elements. Francium will be the radioactive element which has a very less half-life time. So because of that, generally whatever the general discussion of this group is there, that will be from lithium to cesium only. We generally don't include the francium since it is a radioactive element. The chemistry of the radioactive elements is very much less available and less known, so they are not discussed up to that extent. You have to keep this in mind. Now, if you are talking about the relative abundance in earth crust by mass percent or weight percent, we are talking by mass percentage. Their availability in the earth crust by mass or weight percent, if you are seeing, the relative abundance of lithium will be 35, the relative abundance of sodium is 7, the relative abundance of potassium is 8, the relative abundance of rubidium is 23, and the relative abundance of cesium is 46. From this relative abundance, we can conclude that the most available element of the first group is sodium, which is having highest relative abundance, that is 7, followed by the potassium. And the least available or least abundant non-radioactive element of the first group will be the cesium. Right? This is always very important. This is their relative abundance in the earth crust. In the earth crust, the most available element will be the oxygen. In that sequence, if you are talking, Sodium is the seventh most available element in the earth crust, and potassium will be the eighth most available element in the earth crust by its mass percentage or weight percentage. This is about their abundances. And after abundances, we will talk about their electronic configuration. If you are talking about the electronic configuration, general valence electronic configuration. The general valence electronic configuration, valence electron configuration of alkali metals is NS1. Is generally NS1. What are the elements here? We have lithium, we have sodium, we have potassium, we have rubidium, we have cesium, and we have francium. If you are talking about their atomic number, what is the atomic number of lithium? Atomic number of lithium is 3, atomic number of sodium is 11, atomic number of potassium is 19, atomic number of rubidium is 37, atomic number of cesium is 55, and atomic number of francium is 87. These are their corresponding atomic numbers. If you are talking about their general valence electronic configuration, valence electronic configuration of all these elements, here it will be the helium 2s1, lithium's valence or general electronic configuration will be, what is this? Helium 2s1. What is this? Helium 2s1, and this will be the neon 3s1. Potassium will be the argon 4s1. Rubidium will be the krypton 5s1. Cesium will be the xenon 6s1, and francium will be the radium 7s1. These are their corresponding electronic configuration. You need to remember the elements of the first group as well as their atomic numbers and as well as their electronic configuration. Their electronic configurations are generally expressed by noble gas element followed by the symbol. Lithium comes after helium 2s1, and sodium comes after neon 3s1, and potassium comes after argon, hence argon 4s1, and rubidium comes after krypton, hence krypton 5s1, and cesium comes after xenon 6s1, and francium comes after the radon, hence radon 7s1. These are the general valence electronic configuration. So here there is a little bit difference in the electronic configuration of lithium. Generally, here they are having octet configuration, where lithium is having only 2 electrons in the outermost shell. So because of the slight difference in the electronic configuration of lithium with the rest of the elements of the first group, lithium will exhibit some of the different properties than the other elements, and which will be discussed in the form of anomalous behavior of lithium. Generally, every element of the first element of every group will exhibit somewhat different properties than the other elements. That special behavior is called as anomalous behavior of that particular element. In this particular group, because of the difference in electronic configuration of slide, we are talking about the electronic configuration of inertials. Right? If you see, all these are having octet configuration in the n-1 cell, but in the n-1 cell there is no octet configuration. What is there? Only there are 1s2, 2 electrons are there, duplet configuration is there. This is a slight difference in the electronic configuration of lithium with the other elements. Right? This is about the occurrence, abundance, and general electronic configuration. Because of the similarity in the valence electronic configuration, alkaline metals are having most similarities in their property. So when you are talking in group wise after the noble gas elements, because of the most similarity in the electronic configuration. Hope it is clear. Now we will discuss about the general physical properties of alkali metals. So we will discuss the physical properties, general physical properties of alkali metals. And first one we will talk about the physical state of alkali metals. Generally we know that all the elements of the first group elements are soft metals. What the elements? All the elements are, all of them are soft, silvery white, soft metals. soft metals, that is they are solid in physical state, generally metallic in nature, and that is soft metals. Hence they can be cut with knife. They can cut with the knife, except lithium. Lithium is hard. Lithium is hardest element of first group. It cannot be generally cut with a knife. Generally what happens? Softness increases down the road. If you are talking lithium to cesium, what happens? Softness increases. Why increases? Basically, why they are soft? When you are comparing with the alkali metals with the alkaline earth metals or other transition metals, they are generally soft because of their less number of valence electron. If they have only one electron in the valence shells, because of that reason, the metallic bond strength is relatively weaker, so that they are soft in nature. And moreover, what happens when you are moving top to down in the group? What happens? Atomic size increases. Due to the increase in atomic size, what happens? Metallic bond strength decreases. Due to the decrease in the bond length, metallic bond strength, what happens? The softness increases. Apart from the lithium, remaining all elements can be cut with the knife. Right? When they are freshly cut, they have bright luster, which tarnish quickly due to surface oxidation. When you are freshly cut them, they will having a white bright luster that they shine, and that brightness will immediately tarnish due to the surface oxidation. Right? Now, this is about the physical state. If we are talking about the second important physical property, that is atomic and ionic gravity of alkali earth metals. Remember one thing, alkali metals are generally the largest element of the corresponding period after noble gas. Leaving the noble gases, if we are talking, they are the largest atoms in their corresponding period. Alkali metals are having largest size in their corresponding period. After noble gases, right? And generally what happens? This atomic radius increases from lithium to cesium. As you move down the group from lithium to cesium, what happens? Atomic size gradually increases due to the increase in the number of shells. So what we say, if we are talking the increasing order of the atomic size, lithium will be the smallest, followed by the sodium, followed by the potassium, followed by the rubidium, followed by the cesium. This is the increasing order of atomic size. And when you are talking about the ionic radii, generally they will form monovalent positively charged ions. And if you are talking about the ionic radii of metal and ionic radii of metal unipositively ion, generally we know that the ionic the radii of the atom will be larger than the radii of ion, because of the, here if you are talking about the ion will be having more Z effect. Because of that reason, what happens? The size of the ion will be relatively less when you compare with the corresponding atom. This is one thing you need to remember. The size of the atom will be relatively larger than the size of the corresponding ion. So generally what happens? This ionic radii also increases from lithium plus to cesium plus. So what will be the increasing order of their corresponding unipositive charges? Ions, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium. This is the increasing order of the atomic and ionic sizes. Top to down what happens? Both atomic as well as ionic size increases. Right? This is about the ionic. And the next physical property we will discuss is periodic density will come. What the density will come. Generally, lithium, sodium, and potassium are lighter than water. Lighter than water. It means they can float on water. They are lighter than water. And rest of the elements, rubidium, cesium are heavier than water. Generally, in every period, these alkali metals are the lightest elements of that particular period because of their largest value. Their size will be bigger, so that their density will be relatively. Generally, what happens? The density gradually increases. What happens? Gradually increases from lithium to cesium. But there is an exceptional case. The important thing is that if you are talking about the increasing order of density, right? Densities of alkali metal, the general increasing order will be lithium is lighter than potassium, which is lighter than sodium, followed by rubidium, followed by cesium. Here you have the exceptional case. Potassium is expected to be heavier than the sodium, but it is found to be lighter than the sodium. The reason is that, basically the reason that because what happens if you are talking about the potassium, increase in the atomic mass of potassium is relatively less than the increase in the atomic value of potassium. If you are talking about the potassium, what happens when you are moving down the group? What should be happen? There will be increase in the atomic mass as well as atomic value. But in case of potassium, what happens? The atomic value increases abnormally when you compare with the increase in the atomic mass. We know that density will be what? Mass upon value. If volume is greater than the mass, then what happens? The density will obviously decreases. So because of this reason, this is a very important exception in the densities of the first group, where potassium is larger than the sodium. Due to the reason is that atomic mass of potassium is relatively increase in the atomic mass of the potassium is relatively less than the increase in the atomic volume of the potassium. Right? Hope it is clear. And the next important physical property is that melting and boiling points. Melting and boiling points. Melting and boiling points. Melting and boiling points of alkali metals. Generally, what happens when you are talking comparative with say alkaline earth metals and other transition metals? Alkali metals are having relatively less melting and boiling points due to weak metallic bond strength because of the less number of valence electrons. This is always we need to remember that there are only one valence electron. Because of that, what happens? Their metallic bond strength will be relatively weaker. Because of the weaker metallic bond strength, their melting and boiling point will be relatively lower than the corresponding alkali earth metals as well as the transition metals. Right? And what happens? Their melting points and boiling points are relatively lower than corresponding alkaline earth metals. And generally, what happens from lithium to cesium, both melting point as well as boiling point gradually decreases. Due to what is the reason? Due to decreasing metallic bond strength. Metallic bond strength decreases. So because of that reason, what happens? Gradually from lithium to cesium, what happens? Both melting point as well as boiling point decreases. If you are talking about the decreasing order of melting point and boiling point of alkali metals, the general decreasing order will be lithium followed by sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. This is the general decreasing order of alkaline earth metals. This is about their melting and boiling points. group properties, where whenever you are discussing the group properties, you need to remember the trend, how they are varying from top to bottom. Right. The next physical property we can discuss is that it is, I think, the fifth one, which is ionization energies. What is this? Ionization energies. Ionization energies of the alkali earth metal. The first thing you need to remember is that the ionization energy of alkali metals is very less. Due to they have very low ionization energies due to large size. And less electronic release. And generally what happens? Ionization energies, the ionization energy of alkali metals gradually, moreover they have very lower ionization energies due to this one valence electron which is present in, if you are talking about the alkali metals, their general electronic configuration will be valence electronic configuration will be LS2. There is only one electron present in the outermost shell, which is very loosely held by the nucleus. Because of that reason, what happens? They immediately loses this one electron and becomes M plus by giving one electron. Here the energy changes associated are called as ionization energy, and this is called first ionization energy. The reason for the very low ionization energy is that because of the loosely held valence electron, if the readily loses this particular electron, what happens? If you see here, if you are talking about the general valence electronic configuration, here it will be N-1, S2 and P6. This is the octet configuration. If it loses one electron from this outermost shell, what the configuration remain here? N-1, S2 and P6 remains. That means what? It gets the octet, stable octet configuration. In the process of attaining this stable octet configuration, what happens? They readily loses one valence electron which is loosely held. Because of that reason, their ionization energies are relatively very low. And this ionization energy, the first ionization energy, gradually decreases from lithium to Cz. If you are talking the decreasing order, lithium will be having a less ionization energy, followed by sodium, followed by potassium, followed by rubidium, and followed by Cz. And if you are talking about the second ionization energy, the second ionization energy in the sense removal of one more electron from this unique positively charged cation, which will be very difficult. Their second ionization energies are very high. This will be called ionization energy 2. When you are comparing the second ionization energy with the first ionization energy, the second ionization energy is very much higher than the first ionization energy. Because here it is already having the stable octet configuration. Removal of one more electron from this unique positive charged cation will be very difficult. Because of that reason, their second ionization energies are very much higher than the first ionization energy, and formation of dipositive cation will be difficult from the alkali metals. This is another important point to be noted. And after this, we will talk about the hydration energy. This is also one of the important property which is called hydration energy. First of all, you should know what is meant by hydration energy. Hydration energy means, suppose if you are dropping any ionic compound of first year group elements, they are generally form of N plus. So if you are dropping these into the water, it will be converted into M plus aqueous. What is mean by this? Here this cation will be, when you are dropping this cation into the water, it will be surrounded by water molecule all over. It will be surrounded by water molecule all over. This phenomenon of formation of aqueous ion in the water will be called as hydration. This process will be called as hydration, and the energy changes that are associated during this process will be called as hydration energy. Here energy will be given out. It's an exothermic process. During the hydration, what happens whenever you are dropping any compound of first year group elements, generally they will form M plus aqueous ions. That means this metal ion will be surrounded by the water molecule. This process will be called as hydration, and the energy released during this process will be called as hydration energy. And if you are talking about this hydration energy will be directly proportional to the charge of, first it will be inversely proportional to the size of size of ion, and hydration energy will be directly proportional to the charge of cation. Right? See, the amount of energy released will be inversely proportional to the size of the ion, and it will be directly proportional to the charge of ion. So what happens if you are talking about lithium aqueous aqueous will be larger than Na plus aqueous, followed by K plus aqueous, and followed by medium plus aqueous, followed by cesium plus aqueous. That means what? The size of the hydrated ion, decreases from lithium to cesium. Smaller the ion, larger will be water molecule surrounding it, because smaller cation will have strong positive field which can attract more number of water molecules. So if more number of water molecules are surrounding the smaller ion, the size of this hydrated ion will be very large. This is an important phenomenon. You need to remember this and you need to understand this. The size of the hydrated lithium will be larger than the size of the hydrated sodium, which is larger than the size of the hydrated potassium, which is larger than the size of the hydrated rubidium. So lithium to cesium, what happens? Size of hydrated ion decreases. We are talking about the hydrated ion, not this is an hydrated ion. If you are simply writing Li plus Na plus, that is the general simple ion. We are not talking about the simple ion. We are talking about the hydrated ions. You know, dropping in water, it will be surrounded by water. That will be called as hydrated ion. So this size of the hydrated ion decreases from lithium to cesium. And what happens? The conductivity. Generally, all these elements will exhibit the conductivity. The conductivity in aqueous solution will decrease. Conductivity increases from lithium to cesium. Lithium plus aqueous to cesium plus aqueous. What is the reason for this? That means lithium aqueous ion to the cesium aqueous ion, what happens? Conductivity increases. We know that the conductivity will be directly proportional to the migratory aptitude of the ion, and the migratory aptitude of the ion will be inversely proportional to the size. Smaller the size, faster will be the movement of ion. And what is happening from lithium to cesium? Size is decreasing. If the size is decreasing, what happens? Their movement of the ion will increases. As the movement of the ion increases from left to right, what happens? Conductivity increases. What is the important aspect of this hydration energy is that generally they are having highest hydration energies, and this hydration energy, generally what is happening? It is decreasing from lithium to cesium, and the size of the hydrogen are also decreasing from lithium to cesium, and the conductivity increases from lithium to cesium. As the size is decreasing, conductivity increases. This is about the hydration energy. Hope it is clear. The next physical property we will discuss is that electronegativity. Generally, alkali metals have low electronegativities, and electronegativity decreases from lithium to cesium. So what will be the decreasing order? If you are talking about the decreasing order, because of the larger size, their electronegativity is relatively less. So it decreases from lithium to sodium, sodium to potassium, potassium to rubidium, rubidium to cesium. And if you are talking about electropositive nature, electropositive nature of alkali metals. Alkali metals are strongly electropositive in nature, right? Due to low ionization energy, right? And electropositive nature increases from lithium to cesium. That means what? Lithium is least electropositive and cesium is most electropositive. This is what you need to remember. This is least electropositive. and this is most electropositive element of first movement, positive element of the first movement. And we'll talk about the metallic nature. Generally we know that alkali metals are soft metals, and metallic nature increases from lithium to cesium. Metallic nature increases from lithium to cesium because ionization energy decreases as well as electronegativity decreases and electropositive nature increases, so that metallic nature also increases from lithium to sodium, sodium to potassium, potassium to rubidium, rubidium to cesium. Cesium will be the most electropositive or metallic element. And next we are talking about the specific heat. Specific heat means it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature by 1 degree Celsius. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of an element by 1 degree Celsius will be called as specific heat. This specific heat decreases from lithium to cesium due to decrease in metallic bonds. What is the reason for this? Metallic bonds. As the metallic bond strength decreases from lithium to cesium, specific heat also decreases. And one more important physical property we can say, heat of atomization. What is meant by heat of atomization? The amount of heat required to convert into atoms. If you want to convert a metal into gaseous atoms, the amount of heat required for 1 mole of metal to convert into their corresponding gaseous atoms will be called as heat of atomization. This heat of atomization also decreases from lithium to cesium, and the reason is also the same. What is the reason? Because due to the decrease in the metallic bond strength, what happens as the metallic bond strength decreases, the amount of heat required to break the metallic bond will be less. So as the metallic bond strength decreases, amount of energy required decreases. So both specific heat as well as heat of atomization decreases from lithium to cesium. And the last important physical property of these alkali metals is that their color of flame. If you are talking about the flame color, when you burn these alkali metals in flame, they exhibit specific color depending upon the metal. Suppose if you are talking about lithium will exhibit crimson red color, crimson red or yellow, it gives a color, and sodium will be golden yellow, or it is also generally pale red color, and it will be golden yellow or pale red. If you are talking about the potassium will be pale violet, and if you are talking about rubidium will be red violet, and cesium will be either blue or violet. These colors are important. They exhibit the color when you burn them in the flame. What is the reason for the exhibition of this color? Whenever you are heating a metal, what happens generally? There will be electrons, the valency electron. Suppose if your valency electron creates a third electron, this electron, when it absorbs an energy, it gets excited to the higher energy, and it won't remain there for the longer time. And after going to the higher energy level, it comes back to the ground state by releasing certain radiation. If the frequency of this radiation falls into the visible region, then there will be a specific color for that particular element. So as their emitted radiation falls into the visible region, they have some specific color in the flame plus. Their corresponding colors will be like crimson red, golden yellow, pale violet, red violet, and violet. Right? These are some physical properties of the alkali metals. Hope it is clear, and that's all for today. We'll continue this in the next class.